18 hours a day, 7 days a week, machines and employees. At this private facility in Soto sort much of the region's recycling, getting it ready to be shipped overseas to be processed for reuse.
The majority of recovered materials, recycled materials, for the better part of 2 decades in the Pacific Northwest was exported to China.
The relationship was symbiotic. China would ship goods to the U.S. would use the empty ships to send China recycling. China would then use the recycling to make new goods to ship to the U.S., and the cycle continued. But in January, China changed everything.
The economic impacts are huge.
The country began enforcing new restrictions on imports of recycled materials known as the China Sword.
Cleaning up a little bit of aluminum.
Essentially, the country didn't like the quality of recycling the U.S. and other countries were sending. Too much cardboard and paper, too much trash in recycling. Processing this trash was bad for the environment, so China set new standards that right now companies in the U.S. can't meet.
The last 60 days, I'd suggest from a facility like this, from curbside programs, 0 has been sent to China. 0.
China processed 28 billion tons of recycling last year, half the global market. Now that's gone.
The rest of the globe doesn't have that amount of capacity.
There's too much material, not enough places to sell it.
This is actually one of the biggest facilities in the country.
Pete Keller has been in the recycling business for decades. He's currently the VP of recycling at one of the country's largest private solid waste collectors, Republic Services.
We've never had anything like it before. We don't really have any room to store.
But yet, it's stacking up.
We used this area previously to run clean green material.
Now it's tons and tons of paper.
We can't put our people at risk by stacking this stuff up all over the place, everywhere.
Recyclers are also facing another problem, a price drop. A year ago, a ton of mixed paper sold for about $100. Today, you're lucky to get anything for it. In some cases, recyclers are paying companies to take it.
After all of that time, energy, and expense, left with a product that has no value.
No value, no profit. Keller says that equals no business.
The programs are at risk if the economics don't change. It's simple. It's real simple.
Down the street in Georgetown, it's a similar situation at a sorting facility owned by Recology.
These have been difficult times for the business.
At a time when the company is making less money, it's increasing costs, slowing down the sorting process and adding staff to make sure they're producing a cleaner product.
We looked at just every possible way to try and meet the standards.
To address the problem, local leaders and recyclers have formed a task force. But it is clear there is a disconnect between some municipalities and private companies.
This really remains to be seen.
Here's how Seattle and King County describe the problem.
Fundamentally, big picture, we don't see it significantly changing the overall big picture.
I don't think it's any more challenging than what we've done in the past.
We need to store the material inside.
The recyclers, including Keller, are not so hopeful.
This is unprecedented. I mean, we've had hiccups before, we've had commodity crashes before, but we've never had this type of thing. It's an immediate problem.
Keller says he visited China, spoke with business leaders. He says the China Sword is the new reality.
There's nothing that would indicate that there's going to be a loosening of restrictions anytime soon.
Making the problem urgent and ever-growing with every bale.
If new demand doesn't come on, some supply needs to go away, right? So that means programs going away or more material going to landfill.
Eye-opening, right? At least